Have you heard CNN's wild and desperate new theory on why it is that Tim Walz's stolen valor, if you would, is now being so heavily criticized? I mean, it's being criticized because the guy lied. And if you're a vet, you probably don't appreciate that Tim Walz is out there saying he had a higher command post than he did, and that, he took the opportunity to leave when he could have actually gone and fought in war, but then yet had the audacity to come out and say that he had fought, right? I mean, you think about those things as a veteran, that's kind of insulting, to say the least. And so it's important to call attention to it. I mean, he is in politics for what? He's been in politics some 20 some odd years, and nobody's actually really addressed this head on. Well, it's important that it does get addressed. And somehow that's I guess not allowed. Let's take a look at Dana Bash and her comments.
It does seem to actually play into, I mean, the negative framing of this is by itself a contrast between Trump, Vance, and Harris, Walz right now.
No, it absolutely is. The other thing that was striking to me was on Tim Walz's military record. He was not apologetic. He was not backing down on it. They clearly believe that they are onto something here. We had a pretty extended conversation about it, and I was giving him some of the facts, including the Harris campaign saying that Tim Walz misspoke, and the one time that I have seen where he said back in 2018 that he used a weapon of war in war, which he did not do because he was not in an actual war zone, even though he did served for 24 years. The fact that he continues to seize on that is, I'm not sure if it means that they see something that we don't, or it's just like the thing, as Pete Buttigieg said, it's the exception that sort of defines the rule, that
right.
He is kind of hard to attack on a lot of other issues.
Yeah, so
he's hard to attack. So they're going after him on his military source. He's hard to attack. I'm sorry, that kind of seems like a headliner. The guy, he's been in politics all these years, and he's been masquerading as one thing that he's not. That kind of seems like easy pickings to me anyway. Anyway, she seems to think he's really hard to attack, and that's why the media is going after. And the media, by the media, I don't mean them. I don't mean the legacy media, okay? I mean people like me and streamers out there and podcasts and the quote unquote alternative media that I'm very happy to be proud of. Reminder, make sure you subscribe, like, share, make a comment below if you're watching live. That's terrific. Make sure you guys hit the bell too. That way you know when I'm here live every single day. Well, yeah, you know what? We are noticing some of those things like his military service, because let's remember what he said. In clip 23, we've got Tim Walz saying he was deployed to Afghanistan, except wait a second, he wasn't. Oh, we'll bring that up for you in just a moment, everyone. So he basically said, look, I was deployed to Afghanistan, and this is something he was saying quite a number of years ago. There's this House hearing, and he said as part of an Operation Enduring Freedom, and he just casually mentions it. Drew, as soon as you have it, just go to it. But he casually mentions this like it's totally, it's part of his bio. And his bio actually is very, very different, because the guy never went to the Middle East, okay? He never actually was in war. So he was never in Afghanistan. So why would he say this? To me, this is something that the media ought to be talking about. I realize Dana Bash and the other like-minded legacy media folks find it somewhat sacrilegious to criticize anything that comes from Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, but this one deserves to be called out. If we have it, let's play it. Apparently not. So I'm going to move on. You know what? Bloomberg thinks that the GOP is terrified of Walz's masculinity. This is a good article. So I'm browsing through on the plane home. I see this thing. Tim Walz's masculinity is terrifying to Republicans. I mean, are you kidding me? Really? I mean, he's got some funny movements which have been called out by, again, some of us in the non-legacy media. But this one, Kamala Harris's running mate has traditional manly man traits. He's also not frightened of women, afraid of Black people, or terrified of the future. Oh my goodness. So this is an opinion columnist over at Bloomberg. But again, don't forget, Like it's Bloomberg. All right. I used to work there. And the owner of the entire news division has his own point of view, shall we say. He, by the way, cannot stand Trump, absolutely positive. I mean, he told me. I'll give you a quick story, guys. Do you remember when Donald Trump bought the post office in Washington, D.C.? Well, he invited all the media to come. And this would have been, we're going back to probably, I want to say 2014, maybe 2015 at most. So anyway, he bought the post office and they had a big ribbon cutting ceremony. And there are hundreds and hundreds of reporters there. And he made a point. I didn't really care. I didn't have to go first, but he made such a point of making sure that Trish Regan had the first interview out of the hundreds of reporters that were there. And he said to me, it wasn't really about me, it was about my boss, which was Mike Bloomberg. He said, would you please tell Mike, please tell your boss that I said hi? And, he clearly was very enthusiastic about Mike Bloomberg. Well, of course, the next day I got back to work and I told Mike, hey, Donald Trump says hi. And you should have heard the series of 4-letter words out of his mouth. I kid you not. And he would have no problem with me telling that story because he would still give you those 4-letter words, if you would, right out of his mouth. He does not like Trump. He never has. And so this column doesn't surprise me. A lot of what they put forward there is, again, extraordinarily biased. But if you ask me, I think it's fair game. I mean, the guy lied about his military service, and that actually needs to be addressed. The other thing is this assumption that somehow all Republicans are really evil, that they're somehow enormously racist and sexist and transphobic and this, that, and the other. Here's the deal. There was a new study, actually, Elon Musk just retweeted this study, a new study that just came out showing that actually, white Americans are like the least racist group of all. The least. I thought that was actually heartening because that's certainly what I think. And I think people that believe in a real meritocracy and believe in real opportunities, and it doesn't matter, what you look like, who you are, if you're a good person and you are able and willing to do the job and help everyone get ahead, that's a good thing. And so that's when you actually see beyond color. But in this crazy, mixed up, upside down world, no, you're supposed to see color first. I mean, I'm done for them because I never said, I really, really don't. I just don't. I actually don't think Trump sees it the way they insinuate he does. Granted, he's a different generation than me, but, I thought Soledad O'Brien was Irish for the longest time. She's a former CNN anchor. And you know what? She is half Irish. And if she wants to identify as Irish, fine. But you know what? I don't see whatever it is and it's probably just because I'm Irish, right? So I'm seeing what I want, perhaps in some way, I don't know, but I just don't think Americans are as viciously awful as they suggest we are. And it's concerning, it's disappointing, but it's this reality. It really is painful and difficult to see, but that's where we are right now.